Hey, welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call. This is in preparation for trading on August 18, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And if you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. So let's start off by taking a look at our calendar. So from fundamentals perspective, couple of important things that came out today. The very first one was ECB monetary policy meeting minutes. So even though it's in orange, it is very important, just like FOMC meeting minutes are. So the main thing there was we saw euro drop, and the reason for that was because ECB essentially said that euro was too expensive right now, and that would have negative consequences, just like RBA said that earlier. I think it was earlier this month or last month. They said that they're concerned about Australian dollar being too expensive. So that's what ECB is saying as well. So ECB, everybody's looking at ECB as to the date when they're going to reduce their asset purchase program. They said that they would announce that or kind of provide more guidance around that come fall. And as we get closer to September, that's what market is starting to look at, and that's why euro has been going up. But since they mentioned that they're concerned about the exchange rate, that is a negative for the euro, and hence we saw the euro drop. Other than that, the data that came out of the US here was positive for the most part. We had slightly a negative industrial production number. That wasn't a big deal. Two things that we don't see on the calendar that came out that created a lot of volatility in the market. First one was that there were news reports or rumors around Gary Cohn resigning. So lately we've been seeing a lot of political drama, and which impacts the markets. So because US dollar is the most widely traded currency, anything that comes out of the US is very, very important. So we have seen the whole economic, what do you call it, the whole entire committee got dissolved because all the CEOs, or a lot of the CEOs, were walking away from that. So that was one thing, but that didn't have as big an impact because it kind of gradually came about. But today with Gary Cohn, reports of him resigning, that was a big deal, and that caused the US dollar to drop. But then later, the White House confirmed that he was actually not resigning, and that sort of brought back the US dollar against some currencies like Aussie, New Zealand, and a little bit with the British pound, but not as much. So that's what happened. And then second big news event was that there was a terrorist attack in Barcelona. There was a van that ran into many passengers, and that caused a big. They investigated, and they're still it's still under investigation. But they have said that it is a terrorist attack, and that kind of created volatility in the market. So what impact do these things have? So when that report came out about Gary Cohn, what happens with that is people kind of go towards safe haven assets. So that's why Japanese yen actually strengthened. So Japanese yen strengthened, and then later when reports came out of Barcelona where they confirmed that it was a terrorist attack, that made the Japanese yen strengthen some more. And in between, when White House confirmed that Gary had actually not resigned, that pushed everything up against the Japanese yen. That's why we saw such volatility and fluctuation in price. It was all driven by rumors and market sentiment and stuff going on in the market. So just to kind of give a brief outlook on that. So coming up, we have on Friday not a whole lot of huge data. One is this current account, which is trade balance numbers. Trade balance is usually important. So this one shows that the forecast is less than what was before the previous numbers. And then we have CPI numbers here. So the important CPI numbers for Canada here, Canadian dollar has been very strong. So if the inflation data shows that we're not seeing a lot of inflation, the CPI number comes in low, that will be negative for the Canadian dollar. And then for the US, we have consumer sentiment number. And so it's not a red piece of news, but with the current market conditions and thin liquidity, which means not many traders are, or not as many traders are trading, with this being August and a lot of people being away, we could see bigger moves than expected. Other than that, after that, we have FOMC Kaplan speaking, but basically the day is sort of done there in terms of news. So we may either see debt market or we may see some runs that will continue. So that's what tends to happen on Fridays. So let's go take a look at our pairs here. With euro here, looking at euro US dollar daily chart here, we are seeing lower highs being made. So we did have, and this is another way markets react in summer as well. We would have clear signals that sometimes don't play out because things will change. So ECB came out and said that they had concern about euro strengthening too much, and now we have seen that euro drop as a result. So now we've seen a lower close for euro. It is still holding above this level that it has had trouble breaking for quite some time, but now it's starting to put more pressure on that. So this is starting to look more bearish now. So now, as you can see, the pins are getting lower and lower. So it's testing lower now. So, and it's sitting right there, which means that it's a little bit more bearish than it was before. So with this one, even though there's a big pin, but I think we are bearish, it shows more bearishness. So in this case, we are looking at price basically, excuse me, so price coming down into this 1640 level right there, and then further into this 1620-ish level. So that will be the target to the downside. However, if price does not break this level here, the 1700, if it stays above the 1700, we could see it go back again. So let's go to a lower time frame, see how we are seeing lower highs being made. So price is holding this level, and now we are looking for a further move to the downside, so towards this level here, right there, so 1620 level. And this is our 1 hour view. Price has kind of created 3 pins here, and now it's sort of moving down. So that is the euro. Pound here, pound, we talked about it maintaining its bearishness. So today's move was very, very small. In 2 days in a row, we have seen a very small move. Now, this can be a little dangerous, because what that means is that when price kind of holds steady like that, there are 2 things that can happen. Once, it will just spill over and continue with whatever the previous trending move was. And second is that it just doesn't want to move lower, and it may start going in the opposite direction regardless of the candle color and body here. So that's why we have to be a little bit careful, especially with it being illiquid market conditions right now. So this is, I would say, be cautious on this one. We do have a trade running in this one, and I'm going to monitor it. We are about 20 pips in right now. I'm going to keep an eye on it, but I am looking for it to move lower. I like that it held this 2900 level. It stayed below it. It closed below that. And now I am looking for it to come and test this 128.40 level. And that's kind of where our profit target is. And if it rejects it, we are likely to see the price go up again. But I am looking for a test of this level. However, there's no risk in the trade at the moment because we are already at break-even +2. So the worst thing that can happen is that we don't make any pips. So that's how it is. But right now, I'm seeing this as bearish, and the target here would be 128.20 level. This is where we are. We have moved quite a bit in this one, and that's why the two small moves on the day are a little bit concerning. So here we are. It has managed to kind of hold this 1.2900 level. So it kind of went and tested there. So now here we are looking for it to move towards the bottom of this range that it has been for the last 3 days. And beyond that, like I said, 128.20 will be the target on that. Aussie here. Aussie was a surprising one because it was very strong, and now we have a bearish signal on this one. So I've talked about Aussie being tied to copper before, and yesterday, I think, yeah, it was yesterday, we had talked about how copper was going up so much, and when copper drops, that's when we'll see Aussie drop. And as we can see right here, copper came all the way back to where it started yesterday. And as a result of that, Aussie came all the way back as well. No, it didn't come all the way back because there is US dollar weakness still. However, it came back quite a long ways from where it was. So now that copper is back down, Aussie is back down here as well. Copper still looks bearish, as we can see. I'm looking for it to kind of push back into this level or into the pivot point here and then drop. So same with Aussie. Aussie looks bearish. It has a nice bearish candle here. As a result, I'm looking for a further move to the downside, potentially into this 78.20 level or even into this level, 78.40-ish level. But it could go all the way into 7,800 level here as well. What I would like to see, this could be a good trade, especially since there's no news coming out for Aussie. But of course, it will have an impact with any rumors that come out of the US. So that's something to be cautious about. It would be nice if it pushes up into the 7,900 level up there and then drops from there. So that's the level I will be keeping an eye on. So if it stays below the 7,900, this level here, then we're looking for a move to the downside. Overall, though, it's bearish for today. This is where we are. Nice pin bar into R1. We have dropped, and the pullback level is this, which is the pivot point level as well. So looking for a move like that. And let's take a quick look at 1 hour, see if we can. Yeah, so that is exactly the pivot point level. Push back into pivot point and then drop. That will be a nice setup to look at. New Zealand dollar, same thing with Aussie. We have seen a move to the downside here. I'm looking for a further move to the downside, looking for price to kind of move back into the bottom here. If the price goes up into the 73.12 level here, or even slightly higher into 73.20-ish level, then looking for price to drop from there. So that would be a good back test level. Basically looking for price to go do this, and then go back down. Here we are. So just looking for a back test of this level into here, and then looking for a drop. So this looks bearish. Although it may only go into pivot. So that is something to kind of keep an eye on. This pivot point is right here for this one. If it doesn't go all the way up, it could just get stopped with the pivot point at that level. Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD looks bullish. However, we do have CPI numbers coming up for dollar CAD. So those numbers could make a difference in this. If the CPI numbers come out positive, which is what the forecast is, then we're likely to see dollar CAD move down lower. So this one is bullish, and in this case, we're looking for price to move down a bit and then move back up. However, like we have talked about, US, anything that happens with the US will have an impact here. So this is the type of move that we may see, but this one may be different than the other commodity currencies because this is inherently, because they have raised rates, there is inherent strength in dollar CAD that we don't have in with Australia or New Zealand. So if we take a look deeper here, so this is the first scenario, is that it would come down and then go back up. But if it's not weak, if it doesn't show weakness, we could see just a continuation move from here, and we could see a drop and see one of these. So this one we have to be a little bit more careful with than the other commodity currencies. This is where we are. It is pushing back into this previous support and resistance level currently, and it is reacting to it. So we'll kind of keep an eye on this. Overall, this looks bullish, but it is not as bullish as other ones. All right, so let's go into these ones here. We are bearish, but we are into support here. So in keeping with our bearishness, so candles are expanding. So that is a good sign, which shows that it's likely to go lower. However, we are into support, so that creates a little bit of concern. So 1.1336 will be a good level for a potential sell if it pulls back into this level, or even the 50-ish level, 1.1350 level. Or we may just see a pullback right into here, which is 1.1300, and then see a drop. Overall, this is bearish, and in terms of our levels, so we have quite a lot of open space right here. So 100 bips, so that's not bad, 1200. So 1.1200, so that's the next target to the downside. I'm looking for a bit of a push up into 1300, and then looking for a drop into 1.1200. If we go deeper here into 1 hour, it's already sort of dropping. We are into this previous lows here, but it would be good to see a push all the way into here, a test, and then a drop. So this is bearish. Pound Swiss. This is a trade that we actually should have taken. As Pablo was mentioning, Swiss franc was weak today, and we saw a nice bearish candle close here, so looking for further move to the downside. In this case, we could get a push all the way into this 124.35. However, this is a good level here as well, 2400. So if the price pushes up a little bit more and then drops from there, so this is bearish overall. Dollar Swiss kind of tricked us. And then we have, so this is bearish, looking for a further move to the downside as well. Pound yen here. Pound yen here. This is bearish. We yesterday we saw a tweezer top in this, and then we saw a big drop. So right now this is bearish as well, looking for a further move to the downside, and we are looking into 140 here. That is the next target. However, we could run into trouble here, so let's keep an eye on this level here as well, because that is important support level. We did see reaction here, so that will be the first target. Second target is right about here, 139.80. So those are the two targets to the downside. Pound yen, bearish. Euro yen, oh, I was making a note of this trade. Just to, excuse me, let you know, I have started putting some of these trade room trades on YouTube, because some people have asked me how I am taking these trades, because it is not always obvious when I call the trade in the trade room. So if you want to go check out these trades, they're on my YouTube channel, so you guys can go take a look. But here, this is a successful trade we did have. This was a nice trade. We got, I think it was 50 pips or so in this trade. So this one we had entered yesterday, and this was a trade that we held on to. And the reason we had held on to this trade was because of this pin bar, daily pin bar. And as you can see, we had a very nice drop on this one, and we got our pips. Our take profit was hit. So now we are further we are bearish on this. So the next target here would be 127.50. The concern, though, would be this right here. See how price has reacted previously and reacted here as well? So that's something to keep an eye on. If the price does not break the 12800 level, if it stays above that, we could see a bounce off of here. And if we see that either the political conditions are improving, or we see that for whatever reason things are stabilizing, that would cause all the yen crosses to move up as well. So that's something to be kept in mind. But overall, yen still looks bearish, and we are looking at 127.50 as the target. This was an Aussie yen trade that I was doing. Here we go. So this is excuse me, dollar yen here. Dollar yen is bearish as well. Aussie yen was a trade that we took today. So we got 40 pips in this one from our entry to exit. So this is probably not the best chart to look at. I'll come back to a different chart for Aussie yen. Dollar yen here, this looks bearish as well. And we're looking for further move to the downside. The target in this will be a 108.80 level, the bottom of this line. And let's take a look at Aussie yen as well. It's not the chart. Here we go. Aussie yen, we had a big drop today, and we got out a little early, but things like that happen. Okay, so this is excuse me, this is what I'm looking at as the target here, 85.70 level. This is a good support and resistance level here, and here as well. If price goes through this one, then we're looking at 85.50 level. So either 85.70 or 85.50 level. This looks bearish though, but just be cautious with this one with the yen. Things could change quite quickly based on the comments or rumors that come out. So just keep that in mind. Even though all the yen crosses look like they are bearish at the moment, things could change quite fast. So just keep that in mind. So that's it. That's all I've got. Any questions? Pound CAD. Pound CAD is right here. Pound CAD is into resistance. We're looking at 1 hour. So let's take a look at, yeah, Pound CAD is into resistance. So this candle isn't very strong. So this won't be impacted by CPI numbers, but this one looks a little more like a pullback than a reversal here, which means we could see another move to the downside. So in this one, a 162.20 level looks good. And then on a 4 hour, this is where we are. So we are into previous resistance right here. So we'll have to monitor that. The only thing here is that it could go slightly higher into this level here. Or, yeah, so 163.50 level. But this is a strong level here as well. So 163.50 level. So the stop loss would have to be on the other side here. But this, yeah, this does look like it's compressed and is coming into resistance. If it closes like this on the 1 hourly here, that will be a nice signal. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, it's kind of going sideways here, or compressing into that level. So good one to keep an eye on. So this looks like we are basically looking for price to move down lower on this one. How's pound New Zealand? Pound New Zealand as well. This is where we are. This looks like a compressed move as well, going into previous resistance here. Let's take a look at EuroCAD. Oh, it's not a good chart. EuroCAD. I think I don't have that. Aussie CAD? No, Aussie CAD doesn't do much. Okay, pound CAD. Yeah, pound CAD looks like it does want to move lower. So let's see if we could do a trade here. If we were to do a trade, this is 44 pips. Or if we put it on other side here, so about 40 pips. And if we take it to the bottom about here, that's 80 pips. So 1.1650 is about 67 pips. So the only thing to watch would be the CPI numbers coming out tomorrow. Hopefully it'll react before then. Let's take a look at what the pound is doing currently. Pound is not doing much. It's just hanging below pivot point. And if it stays below pivot point, that will be a good thing. CAD, on the other hand, let's take a look. CAD does look like it wants to move lower. So as CAD moves lower, this would move lower as well. So it looks good. Right now, it does look good. Pound CAD. Are you in this one? Hey, Walter, are you in this one? 60, 63, 55. Okay. Any other questions? All right, so it looks like no other questions, so we will call it a wrap. I will see you guys for webinar tomorrow. Have a good night.